Restoring Illinois to greatness. This is Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Opportunity Project and hosted by AM 560's Dan Proft.
Welcome back to Illinois Rising. I'm Pat Hughes, filling in as host this week for Dan Proft. Typically, I'm his co-host. I get to drive the show today, so hopefully I'm doing an okay job. And joining me is Brian Timponi. And Brian, Julie Porter is the name of the lawyer who is sort of been assigned as this interim legislative inspector general after the Denise Rothheimer comments regarding the state senator who was inappropriate to her, and these 27 complaints that are sitting there, and it's been several weeks since she's been put in, and the hue and cry of everything, and John Conyers and Al Franken and all the stuff that's going on, and yet we haven't heard anything about what's going on in those 27 cases. We have suspicions about who's in there, and it can have major political reverberations in the primary and then, of course, in the general. And it reminds me of something that you brought up offline. This is the sort of around the year anniversary where former state representative, and then he went to work in like the Department of Corrections because he was a former sheriff, John Anthony, had to leave his job because of a sexual harassment allegation. And, and it was significantly serious and incredible, but that didn't prompt anything. And just looking in the rearview mirror a year ago and seeing what's happened since then, that should have been a tell. Shouldn't have been remind the listeners quickly what happened in that circumstance and why wasn't that a tell for people to know there's something, not right here.
So John Anthony was a state representative from the Illinois Valley area, Grundy County, and he resigned from his seat and got a job in government, which happens frequently when a state rep can't get a private sector job outside of their political position. Hey, I'll get a job in government. It sets me up for later. But he didn't last very long. He was fired last December 7th after there was video of him groping a woman. Video of him groping a woman and at a Christmas party in Springfield. He was making $120,000 and he got fired. So when that happened, it became got some headlines, got some attention. But you have to ask yourself, why did he resign his seat in the legislature? Was there more to this story? Is one of the 27 complaints against John Anthony?
And if it is, how did he get this plum appointment at the Illinois Department of Corrections? The interesting thing about Anthony, and I know him, and I have to confess, originally supported him for state rep, and then realized that he was a charlatan and a fraud. And then, of course, this incident a year ago sealed that deal. But he used to like to pal around. You used to like to pal around with, Brian? Ron Sandak. Remember, for our listeners who don't remember Ron Sandak, he was the floor leader for Jim Durkin. He would argue on bills and stuff for Durkin against Madigan and Madigan's people. And he, of course, resigned his seat after he was spending money on women in the Philippines to have ostensibly participate in video conference phone sex with him, and he had to resign in shame. So it's Anthony, it's Sandak, it's the 27 complaints. And by the way, it's all under Jim Durkin's watch, right? This is the same guy, by the way, who's trying to get his strip club in Broadview, but it's all under his watch. And the problem is, where is Julie Porter in all of this? There's clearly something wrong here. Where is she? What's going on with the complaints? Why don't we know more information?
It is bizarre. I mean, Anthony got a job as an executive assistant for $120,000 in the Illinois Department of Corrections. An executive assistant. I mean, do you know anybody who pays $120,000 for an executive assistant? Does he have some special skills that were obvious in his state rep tenure that make him a great executive assistant in the area of government corrections? It just seems there's so much smoke here. And so what I'm wondering is, we finally hired this inspector general, and it's been a month. Where's all the information? Get it out to the public. Tell us what's going on, because we have to make decisions at the ballot box in the spring. And if they're going to release it casually after March, it's just more Illinois.
Well, I'm telling you, the fact that it's being slow walked, and their hope, I get the sense it's being slow walked. People running for election, including Durkin and Rauner and others, are hoping that the issue sort of abates as we head into 2018, and it's being slow walked because, in my view, the smoke that's there's got to be something that's so damaging to people of importance.